Hello and welcome. This is another session to help you improve your Excel skills. This session is about how to enter sum and average formulas. There are actually 4 different ways of entering the range in a formula. You can type in the range, you can point to the range, you can use the epsilon icon, which is in the upper right hand corner where I'm pointing to, or you can use the insert function, which is this little f of x symbol where I'm pointing to up here. So there are 4 different ways of entering the range. I'm going to click on a worksheet that I put in, a very simple worksheet. It has 4 students, Jack, Sally, Mike, and Susan. They have completed 3 homework assignments, homework 1, homework 2, and homework 3. And they have certain scores that I have entered. We are going to enter in 2 formulas, the sum formula, which will give us the total, and the average formula, which will give us the average. We'll begin with the total. When I click on E3, I want to total up this range right here, these 3 scores, 65, 85, and 75. And you'll notice that they are in cells B3, C3, and D3. So I'll click on the cell E3, which is where I want my answer, and I'm going to type an equal sign because all formulas begin with an equal. I'm going to type in the word sum. It can be uppercase or lowercase, and a left parenthesis. Now here's where I can type in the range, which is B3, and then a full colon, and the last cell is D3. This means that I will be adding up any numbers between B3 and D3, which would of course include C3. I can type in the last parenthesis, or I can just hit enter to get my answer. My cursor will go down to the cell below it. If I go back to the 225, you'll see that my answer is in the cell, and up in the formula bar you will see that the formula has been entered there. This is the way I would want it. I would want my answer on the spreadsheet, not the formula, because this is the area that I'm going to print. The formula should be up here in the formula bar, so someone who is looking at this spreadsheet would know that it's a formula and not someone who just typed in 225. The second way of entering a formula is to point to the range. I still have to type in equal sum in a left parenthesis, but now instead of typing in B4 to D4, I can point to that range. I want to add up 80, 90, and 85. So I'm going to hold down my left mouse button on B4 and drag it across to D4. And you'll see that the range B4 to D4 has been entered for me by pointing to it. I can type the last parenthesis, or I can just hit enter, and you will see that my cursor goes down to the next cell. I can go back to 255, and you can see that my formula is up here, equal sum B4 to D4. The third way of entering the formula is by using the little epsilon character. This little epsilon character in the upper right hand corner, if I hold my mouse over it, you will see that it says sum, alt plus equal. And what that means is that I can hold down the alt key and hit the equal key, and the sum formula will automatically be entered. You'll notice that the range that is being picked up is directly above it. So when I click in E5 and then I click on the epsilon symbol, you'll see that equal sum E3 to E4 is put in there. It's not entered yet, it's just put in there. Now you'll notice that E3 is 225 and E4 is 255, and that is not the range that I want to add up. So I can come over here and I can retype the range B5 to D5, or I can just point to it B5 to D5, and you'll notice B5 to D5 has been entered. Now instead of hitting enter, you'll remember that there's a couple symbols up here, a green check which means enter, and a black X which means cancel. Cancel is also, if you hit the escape key, you will undo whatever's in the cell. If I want it to be entered, I can click on the green check mark, and you'll notice that my answer is put into the cell. My formula is put up here in the formula bar, and you'll notice that my cursor stayed in this cell. You'll notice that it did not go down to the cell below. That's the difference between clicking on the green check and hitting enter. The fourth way of entering a formula range is by using the f of x symbol. The f of x symbol is right here. I want to add up homework 1, 2, and 3 for Susan, 75, 85, and 80. So I make sure that I click on E6, click on the f of x symbol, and you'll see that a dialog box pops up that says insert function. There are literally hundreds of functions that have been pre-programmed to do a mathematical formula. Some of the formulas are listed here so that you can easily get to them. Or you can type them up here and search for them in an alphabetical list. So if I did not see sum here, I could type sum up here and then hit go, and you'll see that it gives me the sum in the alphabetical list. I would now click on OK, and you'll see that it comes up with another dialog box to enter the range. The range that has been determined has E3 to E5. It went directly above the cell. We do not want E3 to E5. E3 is 225, 255, and 252. We do not want that range. We want the range B6 to D6. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to highlight that range, and you'll see that by holding on my left mouse button and selecting it, that B6 to colon D6 is automatically entered into the dialog box as well as into the cell, and I can hit OK, and my answer will be there. So that is the 4 ways of entering a range in your formulas. You can type in the range, you can point to the range, you can use the little epsilon character symbol, or you can use the f of x, which would enter the formula there. Let's do it again using the average. So if I put my mouse in B7, if I put my cursor in B7, and I want to add up all the homework 1 grades, which would be B3 to B6. So putting my cursor in B7, that's where I want my answer. I type in average equal average. Always remember to start the formulas with an equal, and a left parenthesis. And what was that range again? B3 full colon B6. Again, I can type the last parenthesis, or I can either hit enter or hit the green check box. I'll hit the green check mark, and you'll see that my cursor stays in the cell, and I get my answer in the cell, but I get the formula up here in the formula bar. Equal average, parenthesis B, full colon, B6, parenthesis. I can also put in equal average and left parenthesis and hold down my left mouse button on C3 and drag it down to C6. And you'll see that the range C3 colon C6 has been entered. I'm going to hit enter this time. You'll notice that the answer does get entered into the cell. My cursor goes down 1. That's what happens when you hit enter. In the cell D7, I wanted to add up the homework 3 scores, so I'm going to use the little epsilon symbol. Oh, wait a minute, you said that that's for putting in the sum formula. Yes, it is, but if you hit the little arrow next to it, you'll see that you have other formulas you can pick from. Average, count numbers, max, and min, and you can even get other functions by clicking more functions here. I want to choose average. When I choose average, it's going to go automatically up to see if there's any numbers. If there are, that's the range it's going to choose. D3 to D6 is correct. I do not want B7 to C7. That's not what I want to do an average of. I want to go up from the formula. So go ahead and hit enter, and you'll see that my answer is put in the box, 81.75. But once again, my formula is up on the formula bar. And the last way is to use the f of x symbol by clicking in E7, which is where I want my average. I'm going to click on f of x, and you will see that the average is down here in the recently found, most recently used list right here. So I'm going to click on it, hit OK, and you'll notice that it picks up the range above first, E3 to E6. Now if that's what you want to average, if you want to average those numbers, that would work just fine. If I want to average the averages, then that's what I would want to put in. I would want to put in the range B7 to D7. So I'm just going to click that just to be consistent with the rest of the row. Choose B7 to D7, and notice that it's entered up here in the dialog box as well as in the cell, and I'm going to hit OK. And notice that 81 is put in here. So that concludes our session on entering the range in our formulas in Excel. Remember, you can type in the range, you can point to the range, you can use the epsilon icon, or you can use the insert function f of x icon. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.